Hey, welcome to the, I don't know what episode this is of this podcast here. It's been a long hiatus. I am well aware of that. I apologize if anybody's a fan of this little rinky dink podcast I have. I don't know why I'm putting podcasts in air quotes. I don't know why I'm putting podcasts. I know why I'm putting podcasts in air quotes because I don't post this on Apple Music. I don't post this on not Apple Music. I don't post this on none of the podcast forums, no Spotify, nothing. But guess what? I will be. So stay tuned for that. I'm gonna have the link in the description box for the people that want to listen to this here podcast in audio form and the purest forms and the real way a podcast should be digested. Just so y'all know, I've always wanted to start a podcast. It's not giving follower over here. I know it's a trend now for everyone to get a little microphone and want to come up here and tell their opinions. But I've been wanting to be a podcaster back when it wasn't cool. Back when people were still recording their audio on their cell phone. Like I wanted to be a podcaster back when it wasn't cool. But self doubt, self sabotage, just a warped sense of self worth. And the fact that I felt like I needed someone to also be in the podcast with me for it to be a thing led to me not doing it. But therapy and exercise kind of has allowed me to see the light where I don't need anybody to do what I want to do. Like, and also, if I want something to get done, it's not going to get done unless I'm doing it. So I don't know if anybody else has had that problem where you want to do something, but you need somebody else there to do it with you. It was given that. But now, not so much. I feel like I'm getting kind of more comfortable with being alone. Um, it's been a minute since I've doubled back with certain men that I've been involved with. For me, I don't know if anybody else is like this, but when I double back or when I spin the block or whatever y'all want to call it on a nigga, it's because I'm depressed. As Megan Thee Stallion said, the coochie is depressed if I'm spinning the block. So I haven't done that in a minute. That's a lie. No, it's not a lie. It's time is time is an illusion. I don't know. I don't know what y'all idea of long is, but for me, long is like a week. Week is long. If it's been a week since I've doubled back within a toxic relationship, I feel like that's good. A win is a win. A win is a win. I don't know. It's been a minute since I've spoken to this man. Well, seen this man. I had my moment of weakness where I was feeling down about something and I wanted to take my mind off of it. And I messaged him or I called him and he didn't answer immediately, which was good for me. The universe was on my side. The universe ate with that one. And he didn't answer. But he eventually texted me and was like, you called? And I was like, yeah. And he kind of like started telling me about his day and stuff. And I kind of didn't care. And that kind of made me realize, okay, maybe I am over this because I really don't care what you're talking about right now. Um, it sounds so mean, but he said he was sick and I didn't care. My mind just kept like replaying the times he's called me a bitch and things like that. So it made me think, like, I don't know. I shouldn't be around you because I really don't care about your health. So left it at that, literally like two messages, and that was it. I don't think I'm doubling back with him. Like, I don't think I am. I think the toxic relationship has run its course and it's done. I do want to put a trigger warning because uh, I do want to talk about what happened with Keke Palmer and her boyfriend or her ex fiance. I feel like were they engaged? I don't want to like spread any misinformation, but her child's father, Darius, I think a lot of people already know kind of what went on. The blogs have been speaking about it. I don't want to talk about it from the point of view of like, I'm interested in knowing the inner workings of Keke Palmer's relationship. It's not given that. I think things should be private. I feel like celebrities do deserve privacy. So I am well aware of how hypocritical it sounds as someone who talks about people online for me to say celebrities deserve to have privacy when I'm actively partaking in a marketplace where celebrities' business is being monetized. It's fucked, and I'm self-aware. I think that's a human basic. It's like water. I feel like every human being is deserves water and food and a place to stay. I also think every human being deserves privacy. So if Keke Palmer don't want to talk about it, Keke Palmer don't have to talk about it. She put out what she wants to put out, and I'm not talking about that. I'm not trying to speculate. I'm not trying to judge her for what happened. I just want to talk about it from more of a personal point of view, from someone who has experienced domestic violence situations. And the thing, a lot of women who have went through DV, and I say women because that's the perspective I'm speaking from, especially Black women. I'm speaking from that perspective. That is what I am. That is what I identify as. I can't speak for anyone else. But for Black women, I feel like we do a comparison game when it comes to what we experience. It's like, okay, but yeah, this happened, but somebody else over here, I know somebody whose boyfriend was like doing crazy stuff. That's how we think about it. We like, but I know a homegirl who boyfriend put her in, and it's like, yeah, but that doesn't negate the fact that you actually were going through domestic violence. Like, you were experiencing DV also. No, it wasn't as severe as this person. No, it wasn't as severe as that person. And I know I said I wasn't going to speculate, but allow me a moment of speculation. Maybe that is why Keke Palmer stayed. I know a lot of people are like, oh, why did, like, the judgmental people out here who are just like the pick me's that never get picked. We're on the internet talking about I would have left. Why are you still with him? We don't care about the stank energy. We don't care about the stank coochie hoes. What I'm saying is, a lot of people justify the abuse that they experience with somebody else is going through real abuse. This isn't real abuse. This is just like, this can be fixed. We can work with this. I don't know. At least that's what I thought when I was going through what I was going through. The person I dealt with had a lot of mental health issues. So I had the tendency to separate them from that, where it's like, okay, that's their mental health issues working up, not them. But if you do not know how to, if you don't know how to, if you don't have a healthy coping mechanism when it comes to your mental health, and if your coping mechanism or if your reaction to when you are struggling with mental health issues is to hurt other people, that is a problem. And I don't have to be understanding about it. I don't have to wait around until you fix the problem, until you figure out what medicine works for you, what forms of therapy is going to get you on the right track. I don't have to do none of that. But similar to Keke Palmer, I had a child with this person. So, as someone who had a child with the person, I kind of can relate to that. With Keke Palmer, it's another layer of mess when you have a child with this person. It's another layer of forgiveness, because essentially you kind of do become this person's weird type of family. There's some type of family dynamic there when you have a child with the man. And that's why it's so important that younger women who, you know, I'm not here again to harp on Keke Palmer's decisions. I'm not one of those people who get on the internet and act as if I'm holier than thou and I've never made a mistake, because I've made plenty, and I feel like anybody that's pretending like they didn't are just disingenuous and authentic, and they're not people I want to be around. They're pick me's that don't get picked. I'm not here to do that, but I will say, for people that haven't experienced the situation before, just to help younger people, if you've happened across this video, any red flags when it comes to dating cisgendered men. It's really important that you look out for those and that you respond to them. It's one thing to notice a red flag, it's another to like respond to it. And I feel like people might see a red flag and overlook it. For me, that indicates a lower sense of self, like a lower view of self. That's what I want to say. You have a lower, your sense, your self worth is very not right. Like it's your the way you view yourself is low. If you are talking to someone, you haven't even been speaking for too long. Say it's been a week, two, whatever, and they show to you something that doesn't sit right with you, and your first response is to justify it or to excuse it away when you don't even you barely know this person. You've only been speaking for a week or two, but and I'm speaking from experience. Your first response is to justify it or explain it away. That to me, from experience, insinuates you feel like your feelings come second to that person's feelings. Because in what world do you owe a stranger? Because that's what they are. They're a stranger. If you only know them for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they're virtually still a stranger. You probably haven't even seen them angry. Why do you feel the need to justify or to overlook red flags? I feel like, I don't know. I don't want to make it seem like I'm putting it on the victims, like I'm victim blaming in any way. I feel like there's a fine line between offering suggestions or advice, usually based on past experience. So this is advice from my own personal experience. So you take it or leave it. I feel like where I went wrong is overlooking red flags. That's not to say that if I did acknowledge red flags, that I wouldn't go through any DV situation, because there's men that literally hide who they are so well, and you'll be dating them for years, and then all of a sudden there's like a switch and they become this crazy person who does all types of unimaginable things to you. So that's not what I'm saying. This podcast, this mini podcast, whatever you want to call this, this literally is just me talking to myself. I understand that most people are probably not going to see this. So there's a sense of casual, like very casual. So I don't like to talk about certain things because I feel like it might get misconstrued or flipped into self-help. I'm not a self-help podcast. I'm a it's just like a almost like a diary of sorts. Y'all are seeing my thoughts in real time. Okay. So that's kind of all I want to say about that situation. Actually, I lied. I was watching a YouTuber. I'm not going to say their name because I don't think they want people to know them for just their DV situation. But there is a young black woman who's really, she has a really big channel. And I'm not going to say anything else because I don't know. I don't know who's going to see this. I don't want it to, whatever. And they spoke about their DV situation and the response to the DV situation. I feel like the response to people's stories of domestic violence, it shows me that there's a stigma still there when it comes to victims that needs to change, especially black women. There's a lack of empathy, a lack of sympathy when we come out and tell people we've been harmed at the hands of a man. We still live in a patriarchy. we still live in a patriarchy. So there's still this idea that woman might have pushed a man to do something, or what did she do, or you should have known better. You're the smarter sex, because people like to say that women are smarter than men biologically, whatever. I don't believe that. I feel like society expects less from men, and men show up as less than because we expect less from them. I feel like the higher our expectations are for these critters, the higher they'll strive. I don't know. That's my theory. Higher expectations leads to a higher success, like outcome. You're going to get a better outcome when you have higher expectations. I feel like. I don't know. No, that's not true. You're going to be disappointed a little bit more if you have higher expectations. Whatever. I don't know. I don't like the response that it was giving. I saw it with this YouTuber I watched, her experience with people coming into her inbox saying she deserved certain things and things like that. I feel like it's disgusting, and I hate that we live in a world where that is the response to someone being abused. It's sick, and it makes me not want to leave my home. It makes me not trust any of you hoes, because it's like, who can I trust? Because it be women, it be black women on in these comments saying the most vile things about people who experience things that statistically they probably have experienced or will experience. As a black woman, statistically, interpersonal, or what is it called, romantic relation abuse and romantic relationships are is it's very common. So statistically, you have a chance of experiencing it, or you have experienced it, and you fronting in the comments of the shade room. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's something I don't care to get either. I want to talk about artistry, creativity, and the world of social media. As someone who really enjoys music, who enjoys making music, who enjoys just music is like therapeutic for me. I don't use it as a supplement or as like not a supplement, as a substitution. I don't substitute it for therapy, but it has always been therapeutic for me to make music, to write lyrics, things like that. And just recently I decided to start putting it out, to start actually trying to make some type of like to garner an audience with it. And let me tell you, it can quickly sick. It can quickly suck the fun out of it. So I'm speaking to the creatives. I'm speaking to the people that make music, that do art, anything artistic that kind of relies on an audience, anything that relies on an audience to make money or to, yeah, to make money. Anything that relies on an audience to make money. Entertainment, whatever you want to call it. I feel like when you start to turn your hobbies into I bristle at the word profession because I am not making one lick of money out of anything because I barely post my music. But eventually I would love to make some money from music, whatever that looks like, songwriting, beat making, whatever. As someone who has that goal in mind, as a lot of people do, it gets to become, or it starts to feel like a chore. And that's the worst thing, or the last thing I want music to feel like is a chore. So I have started to, when I start to make music, my first goal in mind is to make something that I like. After that, I don't know what to tell you. Make something that I like, and make something that sounds technically good. I want to get technically better, of course, in a more technical aspect, but I also want to make things that just sound good to me. And I want the people that fuck with my taste in music to find me. That's all. That's it. I feel like in anything, even if you were doing YouTube, you shouldn't tailor yourself with an audience in mind. I feel like when you have an audience in mind, that's more of an anxious type of way of thinking. As someone who's anxious, who has been diagnosed with anxiety, I know that thought pattern. I know it like the back of my hand. And it's anxious thinking when you are creating something with an audience in mind. But it's a really hard thing to not do as someone who wants to make money or anything in the entertainment realm. So even with this, even with me here sitting here talking, I'm going in and out of the thought process that this is something that people are going to hear. And I need to be conscious of the fact that people are going to hear this. It's a fine line because no, you don't want to make people feel bad. You don't want to say things that offend people, but you also don't want to be inauthentic. But I'm noticing that it's becoming easier to default into inauthentic. Oh, I tried to say it. I tried. Unoriginality? No. Inauthentic is the word I'm looking for, but I feel like there's a way to say it for it to be an adjective. Well, no, that's still an adjective. Inauthentic. Inauthentic. Anyways, vocabulary, kicking my ass. I feel like with social media, there is a lot of tailoring going on, a lot of editing going on, to a point where it becomes inauthentic and it becomes a prison of your own making. Because think about it. If you were to get famous or if you were to make money from this inauthentic caricature of yourself, how tiring would that be for you to have to continuously keep up the act? I don't want it if it ain't me. I don't want it if I have to pretend. I don't want it. I don't believe in faking it until you make it. Because what happens when you make it? You can't just stop faking it. You got to continue faking it. So you're going to be faking it forever. Like, you're going to be faking it forever. Because people going to stop fucking with you as soon as you stop faking it. Because that's what they came here for. They came here for your fake self. And now your true self's showing. And people don't fuck with it. And that make you feel even worse. Because it's like, damn, I'm actually being myself. And y'all don't even fuck with it. So I feel like you should just lead with yourself. And this is me talking to myself. This is me affirming thoughts that I already have in my mind. I feel like the best course of action is to just be yourself. It's a generic piece of advice. It's a frustrating piece of advice. It's the advice your teachers give you that really don't give a fuck. It's like, be yourself. It's guidance counselor advice. But some things are cliches because it's universal and it works. Now, I can't tell you how to find yourself. I don't even know who I am. I'm learning that as I go. But all I know is if it doesn't come naturally, I'm on the wrong path. This isn't an argument for not pushing yourself in terms of like you're uncomfortable in social situations, so don't be in any social situations because that doesn't come naturally. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is if you get on the internet and say you making a TikTok dance for your song and it just feel goofy. You just feel stupid. It don't feel right. Don't do it. If it don't feel right, don't do it. It's hard to differentiate between, for me, because I have anxiety, it's hard for me to differentiate between, is this coming naturally, this doesn't come naturally, or this is just anxiety at the thought of people perceiving this. Because one of those things you should just not give a fuck about. And it's the perception of the perception people have of your art. I feel like that's something you really shouldn't care too deeply about. If you have a message that you want to get out there, that's one thing. You should be conscious about it. Because at the end of the day, you want people to interpret your art kind of, correctly a little bit. You want them to get the message, but you don't want to tailor the way you get the message out. I don't know what I know what I'm trying to say, but I don't know how to articulate it. I have trouble with articulation. I just don't think it's the right course of action to get ahead of yourself, get ahead of your art. Just do it first and then think about all that stuff if you want to. I don't think it's productive to, after it's done, it's done. You know you're not being malicious. I would hope you're not being malicious with your art. You know that you're making something that speaks to your true inner feelings, that speaks to whatever you want it to speak to. You have a message in mind, and you know that the way you did that art was to get that message out. Whether people receive it or not is not, it shouldn't affect the creativity part, the creation part. The creation part should exist on its own. The criticism, the scrutiny, all that stuff comes after, and we don't want that shit to muddle up the creation part of things. I don't know. Literally, every time I say something that sounds like advice, I'm always going to follow it up with, I don't know. That's just how I feel. Because I don't want anybody to come on this internet and say, oh, this girl on YouTube said women should never do that. Or this girl on YouTube said everyone should do this. I don't care what everybody, like, do what feels right to you. I'm not somebody who thinks people should live how I'm living or think how I'm thinking. I get up here and I tell you my thoughts, and if you gel with it, you stay around, you stick around, and we hang out. This will never be a echo chamber because I welcome opposing thoughts, so long as they're not steeped in any of the isms, no phobias, nothing like that. Don't come over here with that transphobia. This is like completely like not even related. But I've noticed that with a lot of Black women, a lot of y'all, because I'm not, a lot of y'all be transphobic. Cut it out. Cut it out. Cut it out. Why are we cutting out a whole sector of sistering? They're a part of the sisterhood. Well, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? Like, I see this whole discussion about cisgender and, oh, don't call me a cis woman. I'm just a woman. Oh my God. Y'all so fragile. Y'all like them niggas that sit up on the fucking podcast talking about, I'm an alpha man and you're a beta and you're a sigma. Like, y'all like that. Because why do y'all give a fuck? Okay. It's just a descriptive. It's just a descriptive. Honey, it's just a descriptive. I promise you, it's not that deep. If somebody calls me a cis woman, I don't care. I call myself a cis woman. It's okay. It's not that deep. Why do y'all feel so slighted at descriptives? It's almost like you think being assigned female at birth makes you better than someone who wasn't. And it doesn't. It doesn't. A lot of the phobias and isms literally is because people feel small and they want to make somebody feel smaller to make themselves feel bigger. If y'all niggas would just reach inside of yourself and find it, because you can do it. Probably with the help of therapy. Y'all niggas don't want to go to therapy. If you just reach deep inside yourself, you could find it, but instead you want to take shortcuts. You want to find somebody you can look down on. And I don't get it. The transphobia within cisgendered Black women, it's annoying. It's annoying, and it really makes it hard for me to find spaces within YouTube that specifically are about Black woman empowerment, because a lot of y'all be transphobic, and I don't understand it. I literally don't understand it. We don't need to do that. We don't need to do that. I just think it's vile. It really just shows me that you're not about empowerment for Black women if you're singling out or ostracizing a group of Black women. It's never going to make sense to me. And I just want everybody to know, if you stumble across this video and you are a part of the trans community, that's not me. That's not me. And that's why I really don't be wanting to listen to Black women empowerment videos, because you'll be sitting there and they're telling you about how niggas ain't shit, and then all of a sudden they being transphobic. Where did this come from? I don't know. It was a diatribe. It was a whole like tangent, but I felt it need to be said because I don't want nobody to ever come on this channel and think I'm one of those TERFs or anything like that. Yes, I'm a cisgender woman. No, I'm not transphobic. Never will be. I don't really fuck with transphobia. I don't really. I don't. I don't even know. I don't really. No, I don't. I don't. It's stank coochie energy. It's stank coochie energy. Step your cookies up. Go read some books because you're not eating like you think you are. You're not. Sister, you're not. It's giving jealous. It's evil eye. Some of y'all be in a spiritual journey, and I'm on my spiritual journey too. I tried to post a little. Nah, I tried. I posted a little bit of the spiritual videos because your girl, I'm on a spiritual journey. I be lighting my Palo Santo. I be lighting incense now. Like, I feel real spiritual. But I'm like, look, I got a mood necklace on. I'm in my spiritual bag. But a lot of you spiritual girls, a lot of you spiritual people, because even it be the niggas too. We call them hoteps though. But a lot of you spiritual people be very judgmental, transphobic, have this weird idea of womanhood that is tied to a womb. Bitch, nothing about me being a woman has anything to do about me procreating. Femininity don't mean, oh, I can push out I can push out a baby, so that makes me feminine. Nah. Nah. And you femininity coaches be making me irritated because everything you preach is about some imaginary. My magic, me being magical as a black woman or as a woman, period, don't come from the fact that I can make a parasite. Because that's what they are in your belly, parasitical. My womanhood doesn't come from whether or not I can procreate. And a lot of y'all use that to like as a sense of pride. Like, oh, I'm so like my body is literally a portal. It's a portal. I birth souls out of my body. That is the power of a woman. That's what you spiritual girls be sounding like, and I just don't get it. Because there's a lot of people who don't ever want to have kids, and they're women, or they're assigned female at birth. They have a uterus, and they don't want to. They don't want to use it. There's people that have a uterus and don't. Ooh, my stomach's wrong. And don't view themselves as feminine or woman. It's a crazy concept. I know. Gender, am I right? I don't know. I like femininity. Like, I like certain aspects of the black woman empowerment community. Because I do recognize that there is an issue when it comes to how men treat black women, and there is a sense of there is room for improvement when it comes to self-worth, like a general feeling of self-worth with black women. Everyone knows somebody that's black woman that deals with an ain't shit nigga, and it'd be like the most heinous shit. These niggas be in a house, driving a car, eating a food, ain't got a job, just the heinous shit, just the most heinous shit. And you like, girl, stand up, you know? So I do think there's room for black woman empowerment. There's a need for black woman empowerment, but I don't think that it needs to be transphobic. That's all. That's all. We could tell women to not let a nigga drive their car while they at work and not be transphobic. We can do that. I promise it's possible. It's possible. Yeah, I think so. If you try hard, if you dig a little deep. Anyways, this is not going to be a long episode or anything like that. I just had to get some things off my chest. So I'm going to go. I'm about to go to the wash. And then I'm going to go to the mall. In that order. And then I'm going to get high. Not in that order. So if you like this video, like this video. If you like me, subscribe to the channel. And I will catch you all in the next one. Bye.